With the addition of the new pings, I wanted to go over all of the important settings and hotkeys
I
in
feel like we're
Season
gonna get
13.
ganked.
There are a lot of instances in which knowing the hotkeys for certain commands, or being able to communicate plays through pings, will give you the edge in a game. Let's start by going over the hotkeys tab in the options menu. The first thing we'll go over in this setting is the difference between normal casts and quick casts. If you normal cast your abilities, you have to press whatever ability you want and then left click to cast them. With quick cast, you can just press the button and the ability will come out in the direction you have your mouse to. I personally always have quick cast on when I play because it lets me throw out my abilities instantly, but it's not always good to have it on. For champions who are learning or champions with very long ranges, it's good to sometimes leave the normal cast on to see the range of the ability. Even with quick cast on, you can always left click an ability to normal cast it to see the range. To get something in between normal cast and quick cast, you can turn on the quick cast with indicator option in the menu. If you check this option and hold down an ability, the range will show, and if you let go of the key, you will cast it. Moving on, the first super important hotkey that I think everyone should be using is the self-cast key. The default binding is Alt plus any ability you can cast on your teammates or yourself. If you use the self-cast binding, instead of having to move your cursor over your character, you will cast the ability on yourself. In this case, as Nami, I use Alt-E to instantly give me a slow for my autos so I can land a bubble. That split second might not seem impactful, but there's been a lot of scenarios where it has made a difference. The next important hotkey is the leveling up hotkey. If you do control plus whatever ability, it will instantly level it up. One of the most common ways of using this to your advantage is knowing that you're going to level up soon, so you walk towards the enemy as you're about to level and force a fight. Clicking an ability while in the middle of a fight can feel clunky, and this is the workaround for that. Moving on to another important hotkey, it is the target champions only key. It's defaulted to tilde, and the way it works is that if you press it, your autos will only target champions. When you hold tilde, your cursor will turn red and it will show a red scope with a sword. This is super useful in instances where the enemy is behind a targetable unit. The most common use for target champions only is when you are diving the enemy. Press it so you can't accidentally hit the tower. That covers the abilities and summoner spell portion, and I'm going to skip the item section of the hotkeys because the only hotkey you need to know is the quick cast one. Under player movement, an important setting is the attack move. It's defaulted to A, and if you press it, a circle will appear around you, and that is your champion's auto range. If you left clicked after you press A, you will auto any targetable unit that is nearest to your cursor. You can use this on champions or minions, but it doesn't work on plants or neutral minions unless you get them aggroed. The nice thing about attack moving is that you can just click the area around the unit you want to attack and it will auto for you. It's very helpful if you are kiting away and you want to maximize your auto spacing. Moving on to the camera tab now, the most important key for many players is the center camera on champion hotkey. If you play a lock screen, I highly encourage you to try to break away from that and play a hybrid style camera control. Most high ELO players play this way, and the way it works is that your camera is unlocked, but you hold space for however long you want to recenter your camera. Most players don't realize this, but camera control is a fundamental mechanic of the game, and being able to control this well will make you a better player, as you will be able to navigate the game being more aware of your surroundings. To play this hybrid style, the hotkey to lock and unlock your camera is Y. Moving on to the display, the only important hotkey here is the toggle FPS display. This will show your FPS and ping in the top right. Now for one of the most important tabs in the game, the communication hotkeys. You can access most of the pings by pressing Alt and holding left click. If you don't move your mouse, you will do the regular ping. If you press Alt, left click, and move your mouse, you'll have a different ping depending on the way you move it. If you move your mouse clockwise starting from the top, you'll have the danger ping, push, on my way, all in, assist me, hold, enemy missing, and then the bait ping. If you press H, all the vision related pings will appear. Just pressing H will give you the enemy has vision, while pressing H and moving your mouse left will give you the vision cleared, and right will give you the need vision ping. The final ping is V, which is the caution ping. There are a lot of things you can ping that can be super useful as well. If you click Alt and left click most things on the HUD, it will display in chat. You can ping things like cooldowns for items, spells, abilities, health and mana, if you don't have enough mana to cast a spell, how close you are to leveling, how much gold you need for an item, or even your ping in-game. This is the most important communication tool, and I highly suggest finding out what you can't or can ping. In Season 13, you can use any ping on an enemy ward and the game will drop a marker for it that will show how long the ward will last. There are many ways to ping to communicate, but the main goal is to make it simple and concise so that you can be on the same page with your team. Using pings well is a soft skill that you can use to carry your team to victory. Now for the menu tab. The most important key is the scoreboard. It's defaulted to tab to open it. The scoreboard is very important to look at during all parts of the game because you can get a lot of information from it. You'll be able to make mental notes of who has what items, who is strong, and who is weak. I go into detail about how the scoreboard is an underutilized mechanic in another video, which I will link here if you want to check that out. That covers all the important hotkeys. The video and sound settings are mostly preference, so the next important tab is the interface. Here are my settings that I use. I think everyone should lower the HUD because you get to see more on your screen. Next, I'm not sure why Riot doesn't have the show spell cost and EXP on by default, but make sure to toggle these on because these are super useful. Having your abilities show how much mana they use comes in clutch when you are out of mana. Having the EXP show is useful because there's currently no range indicator for if you're getting EXP or not, so this is the next best thing. I look at this all the time if I'm in a bush that's kind of far from the minions. Next important setting is to enable timestamps. Enabling this can help you time sums very easily as you can reference back to the time when an enemy uses a summoner spell. Flash is a 5-minute cooldown, and Ghost is a 3.5-minute cooldown, so you can just add the time to calculate when the enemy summoner will be up. Some high ELO players like to copy and paste these as they are playing, and the way to do that is to write down the timing, Control A, which will highlight everything in chat, Control C, which will copy the highlighted text, and then Control V, which will paste the text. The game settings are all preferences, so that concludes all the important settings for Season 13.